Our Kwaba SI Ediban Nimdia News Review, Nimdia News, always the best news in town. In same Brunana say Koso Ebio Ewo Ghana Amai Muhammad Catcher say for politics and governance there. Odi Nimdia News are now there. Asem. We bring you all news and Ebio Sono Yedi AC Amai want also in Ansho Brown and Musa Etumia Kebi. Yenti Simbia AC ni Humba Bia Susua at the bottom and so Ebefa. Ghana had politics is about NPP, NDC, and all other political parties are a treasure waha. And now what in some say, what now what in some say, na in some be esi. Me pese yebetie anan panefo seka kuma yene kwaku anum. Yebetie in some no about yebia near the adventure and so aba. Press all the comment. Everybody said that baby to me ununia kinkan and so dear man before that no so no subscribe to your channel no. Name the news now some all other relevant news for politics so our Ghana. Yentie nsimi emresi na press all the adventure and so ebetudwa. Yentie mra yeba de obi ane no asaka.
To say the Attorney General can terminate a criminal case and not give any reason. We're tired of it. So Ayene is just reflecting society. But of course, we are very grateful that he's been that bold. And as I said, there's no turning back.
Right.
There's no turning back.
Council, I know you got to leave it a bit, but the likes of Adam Senano, co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, he's going to be joining us in a bit. He has indicated that why 60%? And the Attorney General responds with that answer that it would be unrealistic for anybody to argue that 100% could have been recovered. He says, you know, from the anti-corruption perspective, that's not an answer that would wash for him, to the extent that why not 70, why not 80, why not 90% and 60%? And that, in his view, if it continues this way, the Attorney General will be setting a precedence for others to go on the same path of, you know, looting or taking state funds and acts of corruption. And when they are caught in that web, this agreement of 60%, because yes, it is unrealistic to expect 100% recovery. What do you say to that?
Well, look. Let's say, in principle, I agree with Adam Senano that we can get more. In principle, I agree. But let me tell you the way I see it. It's slightly different, or maybe there's a major departure. But the principle of his argument, I agree. You know what? Look, you don't need to look into the crystal ball to see that this is not the end of the do-fors, all right? They are NDC. And, you know, at least NDC has 4 years. I can see that based on work they've done in the past, etc., just to make the point quickly, they will get business. So they are going to be on their feet very soon. So we'll beg Dr. Ayine that, thank God that even if they finish, look, citizens are asking that because we want 100% recovery, they should come with a clause that, look, if the do-fors ever get their banking license back, then for every year that they declare a profit, and of course, to avoid a situation where they don't want to declare a profit, we can tweak the thing. But to make sure that if they are running well and they get any money above their fixed cost, okay, fixed cost, we are looking at their buildings, staff remuneration, etc., right? So if they make money beyond that, we should get a certain percentage, right? Maybe even if it's small, but then it will be relaxed over the years, because I can bet you, Mr. Okansi, this is not the end of Dr. Kwabena Dufour and his sons and other children, right? So let's put in a clause. Ayene should, listen, we can put in a clause that for every year, that's as and when they get their banking license out, or if it's not banking, like any other business that they are going to start doing.
Right.
And as I said, we will not say just pure profit, but we should say, you know, in business, that's what we call the fixed cost, the variable cost. If we tie it against pure profit, it can take long before we get further money. So we'll look beyond the fixed cost, then we get a certain percentage gradually. We shouldn't kill the business. But as long as they are in business, we'll keep getting something small. So even if it takes 10 years to get the remaining 60%, I think Ghanaians will be happy. And I'm sure the do-fors will be happy to do that, so that 100 years from now, their forebears will be happy to say that, look, my great-grandfather paid back everything. Yeah, so that's the new chapter. but it cannot be 100% today. No, if you said 100% today, for now, it doesn't appear we have enough facts to say we should get 100% today.
But as you've indicated, you said this is not the end of it. Even if it's 60% recovery, you expect some things will come up and then further recoveries will be made. I appreciate your time on this. Counsel, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Kpebu is private legal practitioner. He's been following this case quite closely. Dennis Baberi Esquire is with me in the studio. We're going to get into the details in terms of putting figures to the entire arrangement that the Attorney General put out earlier today, just for the uninitiated to follow us every step of the way. But the minority addressed a press conference earlier today, just a few minutes after the Attorney General addressed the press. Dennis Baberi Esquire is with me. It's good to have you.
Always a pleasure being here, Alfred.
It's the beginning of another week of legalese.
And the AG is already hitting the ground running.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, let's walk every step of the way, okay?
Yeah.
With this arrangement, the breakdown of this deal with Dr. Kpebu and the others.
So the Attorney General today has been speaking a lot of numbers and money. But of course, this is just a snapshot of all that he's been saying, to the effect that, there's been reason, and they've looked into the books of the receiver who is handling the now defunct UniBank, and they've come to the table to look at the numbers together, and they've reached an agreement of some sorts as to how to progress moving forward, how much should be paid, how much should not be paid, and all that. So when you look at what we have on the screen right now, you see something like original reported exposure. That's, in its basic terms, would mean that after looking at the entirety of what they were dealing with, which includes the criminal component of what the directors of UniBank was going through, and also the civil matter, the liability at stake put together was 5.7 billion. Now, having gone further to discuss at that roundtable, like I indicated, the Attorney General and the government on one side, together with the receiver, then the directors of UniBank together with our lawyers on the other side, when they started looking at the numbers, they noticed that there were some monies that the directors disputed, together with their lawyers disputed, to say that it should not have formed part of the total liability for which they either were standing trial in respect of the criminal matters or in the civil suit. So that you would see an alleged fictitious bank book entries, which the Attorney General explained that these really did not result into any proper liability for which it was disputed. So they took that amount out of the 5.7 billion cedis. Also, there was also some amount of money in respect of some 300 million. That's the 0.3 billion you see here, which was said to be a placement with Uni Securities. That was also disputed, and that was agreed to be taken out of the 7.5 billion Ghana cedis. So that meant that the original figure of 5.7 was revised, having taken out these two figures, 2.1 and then 0.1 billion. So it leaves us with 3.3 billion Ghana cedis as what was the revised exposure or revised liability. Right. Now, the proposed settlement from the lawyers together with the directors of the bank was that they would pay 2 billion in settlement. So what it means is that even though they got to a point where they all agreed that the exposure or the liability was 3.3, the accused persons said, okay, we are willing to pay 2 billion of this 3.3 billion Ghana cedis. That was when they reached the agreement. This 2 billion translates to 60.6% of the revised exposure, which is the 3.3 billion. Now, having reached that agreement, how do you intend to pay? So this is how they go about making a payment plan, where they said that, okay, then, in paying this 2 billion, we'll transfer assets worth 800 million to UniBank or to the bank. And then also, we'll recover some monies from people who benefited directly from this amount of money. And in doing so, we are hopeful that we'll cover 1.2 billion. So when you put the 1.2 billion together with the 800 million, you have that 2 billion that they said they are going to pay. Now, in furtherance to that, they also said they will make available properties which are valued at 824 million Ghana cedis. And in addition to that, they are saying that in selling this, if you are not able to realize this money, who will pay the rest of the money to top up to make it to this particular amount of money.
Of the landed property.
Of the landed properties.
Okay.
Yes, so they actually made that commitment. And in respect of the recoveries from individuals, they said, we will cooperate with you to retrieve all those monies. Now, so far, the Attorney General says that they've been able to recover some 500 million. That's where you see figures like 0.5 billion. It's the same as 500 million. And then what is now outstanding is 700 million. So when you put these two together, you have that 1.2 billion. That is going to be the component which is going to be retrieved from people who have benefited directly from it.
Right.
So far, of that amount, 500 million has been recovered already. Now, what is outstanding is the 700 million. So this is just the overview of what the Attorney General has been saying. That yes, we acknowledge that the outstanding or the liability is 3.3 billion, but to think that litigation may not necessarily lead us to a point where we can recover any amount of money. He uses the base capital as an example of an instance where they've gone through the long haul from all prosecution and ending, the accused persons were acquitted and discharged, for which reason they still did not get even a CD. So he says that even though, yes, we acknowledge it's 3.3 billion, if the accused persons are going to give us 2 billion, which is 60% of this amount of money, then we are minded to settle with them. And in fact, they've given us a plan as to how to go about it. So far, we have been able to recover some 500 million. And then also, some properties have been made available for which we also sell and recover some money. And also, they are assisting in the recovery of the rest of the money. So that's basically the issue. But it's also instructive to mention that this has already come under very severe scrutiny. People are really looking into the numbers to actually ascertain whether or not indeed the figures reflect the reality on the ground. I've seen a writer by